got the plant to run. They'll eventually get paid. But it's in a metric out. Y'all are behind on getting your time cards approved on Monday. We used to have till Wednesday at 12. So what? Somebody's freaking metric. Where's my guys getting paid?
About ready, Caitlin?
They just whine about it.
You about ready, Caitlin?
I know, right?
You ready? Caitlin, you ready? Okay. Turn us on. There it goes. Okay. I'll call the order to Bay St. Louis City Council meeting, December 3rd, 2024. Mr. Reed, would you lead us into an invocation?
Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Father, as we've entered into this Advent season and into this season of Thanksgiving, Father, we as an administration and council men and council women, we just want to give thanks unto you. We have grateful hearts for all that you've done in our lives, all that you've done in our city, and all that you're going to do. Father, we entrust all things. Father, we entrust our ways. We entrust our future. We entrust the city's future even into your hands, that you would give us the right direction. Father, we ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before I close the agenda, are there any amendments that need to be made? No? Everybody's good? All right, we'll move on. No amendments. Announcements. We gotta share. We got 3 items on December 14th. We got the Santa Stroll, War of 1812, Historical Marker, and Second Saturday, Shop Local. December 17th, there's 2 items. Annual Robin Estorfe Memorial Blood Drive. If anybody can give blood to that, it'd be appreciated. And of course, December 17th is the next city council meeting. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, City Hall's closed for Christmas holidays. December 31st is New Year's Eve's oyster drop. And January 1st, City Hall will be closed also. Okay, Mike, you have a proclamation for the Misfit Cruisers?
Gary, real quick,
Yes, sir.
the Estorff, Robin Estorff Memorial Blood Drive, where's that gonna be, Mike?
It's at the Bay St. Louis Community Center.
Back at Bay St. Louis Community Center,
Depot
that's for
area.
the 2 fallen officers
Correct.
that we lost last year.
The first one we did was last year and so this will be second annual.
Gotcha. Thank you, that's all.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Tonight, we'd like to recognize a lot of individuals who spend a lot of time helping us with Cruising the Coast every year. The Misfits have been there for over 25 years, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, directing traffic, making sure everybody gets, places to park, tries to keep people in town and everything. And without them, I'm not sure this event could even be held without all their volunteers they have. So tonight, we'd like to just recognize them for 25 years of service and all. So whereas the city of Bay St. Louis celebrates the success of the annual Cruising the Coast event, which attracts car enthusiasts and visitors from across the nation. Whereas the Misfits have volunteered their time for the past 25 years, providing essential assistance with parking and traffic control to ensure the event runs smoothly. And whereas their dedication and hard work contribute to the safety and enjoyment of all attendees, helping make Cruising the Coast a continued success. Now therefore, I, Michael J. Fall, Mayor of the City of Bay St. Louis, along with the City Council, extend our heartfelt thanks to the Misfit Street Cruisers for their 25 years of exceptional service and commitment to our community. Thank you.
before we do this picture, I also want to thank the city of Bay St. Louis, police department, fire department, uh, Public Works, everybody, because we couldn't do this without them and y'all's support. So, I've been doing it 25 years and, haven't led the thing a couple of times, but probably 22 out of 25 years I've been in charge of it. But without your cooperation, Mike, previous mayors, and everybody letting us run the event, not tell us how to run the event, and support us like y'all do, it means a lot to me and a lot to all of our cruisers and to Cruising the Coast, because we made it a successful event here in Bay St. Louis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, ready?
Yeah, you wanna pass the hat for a set of rings for that car yours? Pass the hat for a set of rings for that car yours?
Pass the hat so I get the labor to put the new program out.
Two light bulbs on the end.
Thank you.
Thank there. Next up, Mr. Chris Roth as our guest, for renaming Highway 90 information.
Good. I'm Chris Roth, president of the Hancock County Historical Society. Before I get into the renaming, I just want to briefly thank the administration and council with respects to the play that the Historical Society put on, Sink or Be Sunk. We had over 700 people attended it. Approximately 400 students came to the play. So it was very successful. We tested the community center in terms of its sound systems, and when you get another $20, $30, $40,000, we can really do something over that. Anyway, so thank you very much for that. Ms. Davis, it's a pleasure to speak before you tonight. It's my first opportunity, and good to have you on the council.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, renaming Highway 90. This was an idea that germinated over some period of time. As a historical society, we looked at what Ocean Springs had done with the name of the Bienville Boulevard in Ocean Springs. And we thought, well, that would be nice maybe to class us up a little bit and not just be on Highway 90 anymore, but you could be on something of historical or something that represented our culture, history between Bay St. Louis and Waverly. I've been in some conversation with Jay Trapani, and it goes as planned. He'll be discussing this with his alderman tonight. He has the same information that you've been provided. I've spoken with MDOT as to the process, and that's laid out in here pretty much. We get Brent Anderson, who's agreed to present a bill to the legislature. Once we come up with a name, legislature authorizes the name. MDOT gets involved. Doesn't cost the city any money, I'm told. MDOT gets a sign, installs the sign, and we've got a highway with a differentiated name, something a little more classy than Highway 90. For the business owners and anyone who gets mail on Highway 90, it doesn't change. Your address is still whatever it is, Highway 90. So we don't have any interference with that process. In considering how to go about doing this, we thought it would be fun to have the citizens of Bay St. Louis and Waveland come up with their ideas, get input from the community as to what name they'd like to see. That information would go to a committee, which be comprised of someone from Waveland, some from Bay St. Louis, Chamber of Commerce, Historical Society, and Hancock Tourism. That committee would vet the names and then submit those names to Waveland, to Bay St. Louis. In coming up with that decision-making process, I'm suggesting that, given we have 7 councilmen and the mayor, that you have 8 people who review those names and vote on them. 1, 2, 3. Waveland, we assign them 8 voters, if you would, and they do the same process. And then we take a look at how those names stack up, and the winner is what we name the highway. So that's the thought behind that. Really, at this time, what I would like to get from the council, or the administration, I'm not sure the flow of this, within the municipal government, but get the agreement that that's a good idea, proceed ahead, we like your plan, and we'll move on with it and come up with a name. And assuming, Waveland, feels the same way, then we're on go with it. You know, you got any questions, I'll be happy to, answer questions.
So you wanna have it from the Bay Bridge all the way to the
Contiguous,
Welcome Center?
yeah, contiguous, but Waveland, city limits, Bay St. Louis city limits.
This was
Yeah.
brought up during the
Not up to the
comprehensive
interstate.
plan. Do what, Gene?
I said not going all the way out to the end of Highway 90 where it turns towards Slidell.
No.
Just
to avoid
the
just
city
the
limits.
City limits of Waveland, but
That's correct. That made it manageable without having to go beyond the two cities. And I thought, this is where the commerce is primarily. That was the thought behind that.
I'm assuming in terms of the requirements, you mentioned Mr. Roth, in terms, MDOT, you have to, of course, get them on board, and then legislative has to get this passed, and then also the key component is feedback from the residents, right? So you've addressed that in terms of having a committee.
Correct.
Okay, so are there any other requirements for this process, for this to?
Not that I'm aware of, having talked to MDOT, the key in talking, we had the scenic byway done, the Hancock Chamber of Commerce, had an ordinance passed, but legislative action, designating scenic byways throughout town, throughout the area. That was some years ago. I don't know if there's any signage affecting that, but they did have that done. So, in talking to Brent, that's the first, the step of the process is, and whether, you all issue something, say, we're agreeable to this name, and we give that to Brent, and he gets the bill drawn up. I'm sure he'd want to know that the cities are behind. Anybody can do this. Anybody wants to go get a bill passed to change a road's name, they can go do it. But obviously, you want to have a cooperative effort throughout the community in order to make it feel.
What, do we need to vote a resolution right now to proceed? Or just say go with it?
No, I would just comment that
Yeah.
this was included as part of your comprehensive plan on revisioning Highway 90 to be something a little bit more than it is today. So that, your zoning ordinance that's getting rewritten would probably address that, but it did come up with like a concept of the boulevard, so kind of in keeping with kind of the same kind of concept, but renaming it to brand it.
Outside of any other, I know Ocean Springs is mentioned about Bienville. Are there any other coastal municipalities that have this? Is that,
Not that I know of.
okay, because I did, of course.
man, they're like in the city of Slidell, they call Highway 11, which is their main thoroughfare, they call it Pontchartrain Drive.
Mhm.
I think there's a portion there they call Old Spanish Trail as well, kind of similar to what we have, but ours wasn't a highway. So
I mean, it's
I've
the
seen
same
it
like
done other places, but
25th Avenue, Highway 49 at
Highway
the end
49,
is
Gulfport,
25th Avenue and
25th
Gulfport.
Avenue, yeah. So hopefully we come up with something a little bit better than 25th Avenue.
My only suggestion would be, I think Mr. Chris said that this is going in front of the city of Waveland tonight, see what the city of Waveland does, and I don't know if Mayor Favre and Mayor Trapani want to get together and just try to make sure that everybody is on the same page, since you, I guess, ultimately will be needing two cities to work together if you want it all to be the same name. So
Well,
I don't really know what action you would take tonight, other than,
Well, that's what I'm saying, so will we bring back a resolution for the next meeting if the two mayors are in agreement to kind of, both cities want to move forward with it?
yeah,
I mean, I guess
figuring this
tonight
out.
we
And I
just
know Mr.
kinda-
Chris's proposal was to, I think that at the tourism and the chamber, and I mean, you said all that, but if Waveland's on board, it might be getting all of those entities together and then letting them kind of make a proposal, I guess, of what they would like to do.
And how's the committee selected?
Well, the idea being, it's, I've got all these folks on, the city, I would say, I'm chairing this. I took that on my own initiative, part of the Historical Society. Is that I would find out from the city, who do you want on the committee? Waveland, who do you want on the committee? And then get the chamber tourists to say who's on the committee. And then we have 5 representatives on the committee. Then I have to organize the, what is it, MailChimp, or MonkeyChimp, whatever that survey,
Oh, a survey monkey.
Survey Monkey, yeah. So
Nail chip.
I'm on top of that. Okay, I got that nailed, man, I can do
Don't
that.
type that into a search box, Mr. Chris.
Anyway, come up with the survey process. So there's some legwork that has to be done in order to bring this to fruition. I talked to Brent about timing on the bill. He said, we've got time to do that, later. It doesn't have to be in January. I think February, I think he even said March.
Is it possible, and this may not be realistic, but, of course, in the upcoming election, having it as you have the committee select a number of names and having that as a referendum on the, on the ballot to where there's to let the people decide what those names could be.
I'm sorry.
So we have an upcoming election, so is it possible, is that something we even put on the ballot? Because again, we want to make sure that we have the public involved in the process too. I know there'll be selection committees, but.
Well, we'll invite the public, and that's what we'll do with the survey. So anybody who wants to on the various, and that's what the committee will do. Waveland wants to put it on their website, City of Bay St. Louis, put it on their Facebook page, whatever. Get the citizens' input.
Mm-hmm.
And then get all that together, then the committee at a certain time, the cutoff would be, then we go through and look at all the names, and then come up with collectively what that referral committee thinks would be the most appropriate 3 names. And then in turn, let the 2 municipalities then vote on what they think, collectively what they think those names would be. So,
Maybe we could put those 3 names on the ballot if we decided to
The only
do that.
thing, Waveland
Waveland
doesn't
does not
vote
have
now.
Yeah.
They don't have an election,
That's true. That's a good point.
so it would be a special election for them.
yeah, I would encourage you not to get
Resources
too
or
far,
legally
too
be able to-
complicated on this.
No, we just wanted citizen input.
Well,
So
that's
if there's a mechanism for citizens to give that input.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where the names are gonna come from the citizens. If they take the initiative to go and do the survey, their voice will be heard. No doubt about it.
Okay, I like it.
I like it.
Okay,
Nice
so,
to have a nice name, something that's for this area, or, other than just Highway 90.
And as we've said, it's been recommended in the comprehensive plan, the rebranding and redesignation of Highway 90, so I think it's a great idea.
One thing we're also looking at is taking a portion of 90 for the 2 offices to just in memory of them as well. So that's gonna be coming up before legislature also this spring.
Maybe we
Okay,
could
so-
Robin Estor Memorial Drive.
so I'm assuming then that, I'll touch base with Jay and find out what went on yesterday, and then 2 of you get together and see all,
I think they
he's agreeable and you're agreeable, Mike.
Yeah, I think they meet tonight.
Yeah, they meet tonight, yeah. Then we'll get about the, committee and start doing, finding out who's gonna be on the committees, and then start doing the legwork, the grunt work to get it to where we can do the survey and, advertise to the citizens and, make it a bit of maybe a fun event, exciting event to get the name. Okay,
Good, sounds good, thank you.
all right, good, thank you all.
Thank you.
So you're just gonna come back to us when you have more information?
Right.
Okay.
I'd say probably your next meeting.
Okay.
Unless we get, we get a hiccup and there's some detail has to be worked out, but I'll keep you apprised at the next meeting as to what's going on.
Sound like a plan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, motion to approve minutes from November 19th, 2024. Anybody have any corrections? Nope.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Hoffman.
Second.
Second, Councilman DeSalvo. Any questions or discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Mayor's report. Motion to approve tri-party agreement for commercial redevelopment incentive grant and related services between City of Bay St. Louis, South Mississippi Planning and Development District, Inc., and UVF1 810 Highway 90 Investment LLC, and I think that's known as the Driftwood Motel. Is anybody here to speak for them?
And just note, Josh is leaving.
Hmm?
Josh is leaving the room.
Josh, you recusing yourself?
Recusing himself.
Okay.
Stephen O'Mara with SMPDD. I was here previous, y'all's previous meeting. And would be happy to recap.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That's
So-
2 weeks ago.
What this is a development incentive tool that the city approved several meetings ago, just in general. But each project has to be brought project by project. Lay that out. So what this is the city agreeing to reimburse a developer of one single development, a certain percentage of the city's 18.5% sales tax diversion that they receive. And this will be done on an annual basis after the money has been received from the state by the city. So this isn't upfront money, it's reimbursement money. And what was, I guess, presented by the administration for this project would be 50% reimbursement of the city's diversion on an annual basis. And utilizing SMPDD as an administrative tool to administer the program.
And this is a relatively new program, right? So how many have y'all done across?
We probably have 6 or 7 different cities that we have done, and probably, I think we have 8 projects. But this isn't, SMPDD's program. That's the way I like to explain it. It's not SMPDD's program. It's not a state program. It would be the City of Bay St. Louis's program. So, y'all dictate percentage, the term, which can't exceed 15 years, and you get to decide project by project whether a project can participate in this or not. So those guidelines are dictated by the city, if that makes any sense.
And what are those guidelines to where we arrive at the percentage?
We just recommended 50% only after speaking with Stephen and his crew, and kind of the standard number that has been used across the coast. But again, you asked for investment amounts, so that's what Eugene is here with, to give y'all a standard, I guess, to say if it's $1 million, then it's X.
Yeah.
Or if it's 5 million, it's B. I mean, coming up with some formula for yourselves, but we went with 50 because that's what's kind of been consistently used.
And it just to refresh your memory on what we're talking about in terms of dollars, and this is Eugene Smith, by the way, I'll let him speak in a second, but he's a developer. Based on the sales projection he's provided, if they held at that, you'd be looking at an annual reimbursement back to him as the developer of around $2,900. If the sales increase, that number would increase. If the sales went to 0, it would be 0. So the city isn't committing to anything, and neither is Gene. It's just if there's general sales tax producing income, then that generates an incentive back to.
And one of the things also looking at this specific project is what they had when they started was a blighted property that they've now turned into what it is today. So, we'll see the ad valorem taxes, value of this go up as well. Which will also, the ad valorem taxes will go up as well, which will also increase the city's portion of that. And again, it's just a project where they took a blighted property, well, no matter what we call it, and created what they have now, which is an awesome place. So
That's really the intent of this. 2 of our bigger projects that we were involved in, and this incentive helped get them done, was the Rouses in Picayune and the Rouses in Biloxi. Can probably say if it wasn't for this incentive, they might not to those two cities. So this could be used for bigger projects, you know, the bigger the number, the bigger the incentive it is to the developer.
I'd like to hear from the,
Anyway, sure.
from the developer.
Eugene Smith.
Name and
Evening,
address.
Eugene Schmidt. I live at 509 Jennings Street. I am the managing partner of UVF 1810 Highway 90 investment, also as the Driftwood Motel. And I don't know what y'all really want to hear from me. I'd like to thank Stephen and Mike, frankly, for kind of getting me to this point here. You know, it was a little over a year ago that we decided to make the investment into this property. And I'm kind of proud to be maybe the guinea pig for this. It is, and I'm grateful for any sort of incentive that we could have, and it's maybe we're kind of pioneering it as a tool for you, for the city to use for future developments. You know, we saw this as, I don't know that there's really a good way to describe it when we bought it. My contractor wouldn't walk in there for the first about 3 months, at a fear for what he'd find. But I believe, you know, we've transformed it into something really into its most traditional sense. You know, as far as I can tell, it was you know, a hotel that probably opened in 1960, 1961, and we brought back the Driftwood name, and we hope that it's, you know, it's kind of a catalyst for more kind of development like this. It's obviously basically at Main Street and Highway 90 or whatever it's going to be called. You know, MailChimp Highway. I'm not sure. But you know, we're proud of it, and and I can also say that I think that in terms of you know, kind of changing properties like this is good for the city. Obviously, just in terms of city assets, Bay St. Louis PD. I mean, it's I think it's I'm proud of what we've done.
So how's the sales been?
So I think for the projection that I gave Stephen, which was around, I think 400, it's probably 450, 400 something thousand dollars. I would say we're probably tracking 20% below that, but it's, you know, it's hard to tell, right? We obviously did a bang up. We opened up on the 4th of July. Cruising the coast is great. You know, I will say that, you know, you got to get someone there on a Tuesday night, right? And we need to kind of, you know, unlock that in terms of you know, where those patrons are coming from. But you know, it's going well. We've invested, you know, personally in 2 other hotels, and you know, it takes a little bit of time.
Anybody got any questions?
I do know when we went to the grand opening, you know, everything at their place is very nice now, first class, and I do remember speaking with Drew Osborne and Chief Schwartz at the time, and I seem to remember that they said that one address accounted for something like 37% of the calls that came in across the board for the year. That one address was 37% of the calls. So
Please don't tell that to my guests.
no, well, not now. Now it's beautiful, but that's the point. Is they took a problem and made it much nicer than what it was.
So, can you come back up to the, so explain, so this, if we voted on this at the city's recommendation, it'd be 50% of the 18 that we carry? Is that true, Mike, or?
Yeah, it's 15% of what we get sales ad valorem back from the state. So we get 50% of that number off of their property.
And y'all think it'd be like $2,900
At 460,000 in gross, we're looking at 2,900 a year.
Correct.
That's the estimate.
And what's the
Again, that percentage is set by the council.
recommendation as far as number of years? I guess that was in there, right?
Isn't it 15 years?
The max is 15 years. And the max is also, Stephen, if I say 30%
Of the total project.
of the total project investment cost.
So
So
what,
if they
think
did
that's
bang
what
up
we were-
and made it all in 3 years, they would stop.
right, so
'Cause
I
they
think
hit the
that was one of the
30%.
questions Kyle had was what was the total cost?
Well, and, no, part of it, and
Project
again,
cost.
credit Mr. Schmidt for investing in the community and taking a blighted property and making it what it is. And this is in no way to denigrate. I just wanted to have a baseline for us to have objective data, not so much for this one, but in the future, if we set this at 50%, what are we going off of? And that's when the discussion was, what is the initial investment on that? Do we make that kind of the tiered approach? Again, I just want to look in the future when there's another, because I'm sure that this is a great program, this is probably going to come up again, and the next one, where do we make that based on judgment as to what that percentage is? And so that's where, you know, we discussed what that level of investment may be for that entity coming in. Obviously, we know, what the anticipated revenue is, therefore that translates into the 18% of the 7% that would go back based on the percentage that we set. But I just want to have, kind of a baseline of what we make those determinations from.
I mean,
And so that's not, so more of, again, how we're setting this. This is the first one. What led us to that 50%? I know we discussed this is kind of standard. So if this is the norm, I just don't want to deviate one way or the other for subsequent applications.
I mean,
If you want to take any.
sure, I mean, I could, I mean, I'm in real estate development, so I could probably answer,
Sure.
or at least
please.
give my opinion on some of these. And so, our total project, our total capital stack, $2.2 million. I don't know that it's worth $2.2 million, to be honest with you, but that's what it took to get the project done, right? On this particular project, you're talking, I don't know, $2,500, $3,500 a year. It's substantial, and I'm would be very gracious to receive that. Although at this point, it is built, right? If you're looking at projects like Rouse's, right, where you're talking, $40 million grocery stores,
Yeah.
it gets to be a bigger number,
Sure,
right?
sure. And I guess this goes back to administration. So we've set that baseline. Do we have that kind of tiered structure approach as to the investment of what?
I mean, we haven't created a formal tiered structure approach because this is our first application. But in our comprehensive plan, there were a handful of other properties along Highway 90 that would be prime for redevelopment that could probably produce a lot more sales tax, such as a Rouse's or some other entity. So again, at that type of situation, it may be worth doing a higher level if it's going to produce a greater number of sales tax and jobs and other stuff, and also convert maybe a corner or different location. But this is a huge redevelopment, I think,
Sure.
for our city.
There's only one city, Hattiesburg, that set, what they did is they set 2 different redevelopment areas. One, if the business is in that area, it's an automatic they still have to vote on project to project. Percentage-wise, it's 50%, and then another area is 35%. But they're the only ones that do that. The other cities we deal with just take it project by project. Biloxi's have been all over the board. It just depends on how bad the city wants a certain project.
So is there
They
an
might be
objective
willing to increase
rationale
that.
or
And I think it's hard to set a set market on this. I think each time it needs to be looked at again with what it's bringing in, the cost. Was it a blighted property or something new coming in, and things like this need to be looked at. In this situation here, we're talking about maybe $3,000 a year, $2,500 in 15 years. He still won't even reach his third that's able to give back. At that price. Hopefully that'll get up and he can reach it a lot soon, because that's better for Bay St. Louis, and all. But again, I'm not sure what the ad valorem taxes is going to be on this. It's going to be a lot more than what it was. I think it was around $6,000 a year, something like that. So we're going to see an increase in that as well to offset a lot of. We'll offset more than what we give on the increase in ad valorem tax. So I think when you look at it in the future, if you got, say, a Rouse's, since it brought it, what they bring in, jobs, a lot more taxes, a lot more ad valorem taxes to this building and this and that. So, how bad do we need a Rouse's? And I throw that out there as an example. But how bad do we need a Roush? Do we give them 75% or do we do something, you know, even more? You know, give the 100% for a few years or something. I don't know that. But each case, I think it needs to be looked at differently on need, what they brought in, you know, what they've done with this property and all. You know, we still have blighted properties, a few on the highway, right off the highway for commercial development and everything. And as we know, you know, we don't have a lot of area for commercial development now. So I think we take it individually and look at it and try to, you know, come up with the best decision and offer we have to try to lure, you know, some of these businesses in here instead of losing them across the city line there.
Yeah, I kinda like the project, as a test, see how it goes out. I think the 50% is a good start. It is tremendously better than it was. I mean,
Check the rooms out.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty, very nice.
any further discussion?
Yeah, so we did, Pearl Hotel, we did a similar thing through the tourism tax rebate program.
Yeah.
Also giving the Pearl Hotel 80% rebate on their sales tax collection,
Give 'em what?
80% rebate on their sales tax
Was it
collection, because it's over $15 million project.
Right.
So MDA set out guidelines how to structure your rebate program.
It was 8, I thought it was 100.
No, it's 80%. So, and if you look at the ad valorem tax, I got a spreadsheet, believe it or not. Got a breakdown of all the room rates, occupancy rates, and really what the city would collect per year versus the ad valorem tax that we're collecting on their property because of redevelopment. So it's a win-win for the city. We're making more money than vacant corner lot that was there, even giving us 80% tax rebate. So it is good for development as long-term. How do we redevelop some of these blighted properties and give people incentives, right? It's not a whole lot. But again, the ad valorem tax increase will outweigh the $2,900 a year we get back in their sales tax.
And this doesn't cut into the 2% that goes to tourism neither. You know, that is still separate. That's not part of this, you know, tax there to be given back. So it's just strictly on the 18% of what we get, you know, from sales tax.
And I just want to preface, this is not to denigrate the project. I think this is great. And it's just this being the first one, are we setting the bar too high or too low? So again, you know, but yeah, I get every project's different. I get all of that. But that was the main, again, this is not to knock, I think this is a great for the city, great for development. I just want to make sure with this being the first one, we have objective standards. But I agree with what you said, Doug. I mean, I think that's there's many great points made.
Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion to
I
approve.
think it's a good project. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the tri-party agreement, for how much? 50%?
Yes,
50.
yeah, 50%.
50% for up to 15
Up to
years.
15 years.
It's as presented, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, as
Okay.
presented.
I make a motion, Mr. Hoffman made a motion to approve as presented the tri-party agreement for commercial development incentive grant related services between the city of Bay St. Louis and South Mississippi Planning Development District and UVF 810 Highway 90 Investment LLC, known as the Driftwood Hotel. Seconded by Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. Mr. Salvo's out of the room. Yep. Somebody want to grab him?
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to order pizza, huh? Okay, next item on the agenda, item 13. What's the Urban Development Toolbox?
So that is the company name for Lawrence Lyons.
Lawrence who?
Lyons. Lyens. So do you want me to speak towards it first?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to speak about it real quick?
I just don't understand what it is.
So Lawrence has a company called Urban Development Toolbox. Lawrence writes TIF redevelopment plans. In order to offer a TIF bond in your city, you have a requirement to be able to have a TIF redevelopment plan on the bookshelf. And it's basically a document like this, and it literally is approved and put on the bookshelf. But in order to offer for a developer to come in, and I got other smarter people than me here, but in order to offer a TIF, or consider a proposal for a TIF, you have to have that document on the bookshelf. It takes about 3 months to write it. So as part of our comprehensive plan, there were 3 items that were discussed in there: the SMPDD redevelopment program, tax abatement, and TIF. So we're bringing those to you, that we have the council basically in place to say, if a proposal ever came to y'all, that you're in a position to entertain it and not have to wait and back up and do this other step. That'll take you 3 months. So Lawrence, I worked with, and I was referred to him back when I was city manager. We wrote one for Diamond Head for Memorial Hospital to open up a clinic. Lawrence has also worked with Hancock County because they participated in that TIF.
Lawrence is here?
What's that?
Lawrence
Lawrence is not here.
Okay.
And that was my fault. I don't know. So if we need to table it, we can. But the worked with Pascagoula. Pascagoula has really redeveloped the Pascagoula area. And then again, wrote a TIF redevelopment plan and helped us in Diamond Head. So I contacted him to give me a proposal for here.
Discussion from the council?
Yeah, Mike, can you give some examples? I know it mentions in here
So-
from Lawrence that some examples of inducements to encourage private development and kind of what
So a TIF,
some of those were.
a TIF means tax increment financing. So I'm going to use an example of a Hampton Inn. If they wanted to come to the lot behind Pizza Hut, and they need to bring in new water or gas or other public facilities to get that development up out of the ground. Well, that's all public infrastructure. So the developer and the city can make an agreement that we could basically rebate through a tax bond. Tell me if I say something wrong to our bond attorneys. That we could agree using either sales taxes, property taxes, or both, to help pay that bond. Those bond proceeds are then reimbursed to the developer to pay for that public infrastructure. So again, if we had to upgrade our water lines, which we would need to do to have a Hampton Inn at that location, this is an incentive that can help that developer pay for that public infrastructure. Does that sum it up in a button?
Does it ultimately get paid back to the city?
It gets paid back to the bondholder.
By
So
us?
let's say
By
somebody had a
city or
$5 million
by
project. The hotel may be 10 million, let's call it a $10 million project.
Mhm.
But there's 2 million of public infrastructure, such as water, parking lots, lighting in the parking lots, gas, sewer, whatever the upgrades. Maybe we need a lift station in that area. So there's eligible expenses that can be paid for with a TIF bond that can be reimbursed to the developer, because the developer's got to go put the project in the ground. And if he fails or doesn't happen, or they don't generate the sales tax or generate the property taxes, the bond's not repaid, the developer's not getting his money. So the project has to happen to make it work. But if there's a $10 million project, the developer, I'm going to use the number 2 million, can be given back to that developer. Well,
Right.
that's an incentive, because now
Right.
he's putting it back in his pocket.
That's what I'm saying, but.
And that
where's
bond is then paid over a period of 10 years
Where are
using the
those
property
funds coming?
taxes that are generated.
Where are those funds coming from that are being paid back to the developer?
The property taxes off of that property and the sales tax off that property. The increment
Okay, so the initial layout of the $2 million is coming from the developer?
coming, he has to put it up front, yes.
So what is the city's role in all?
You want to speak more? I'll let the bond people speak.
Yes, the way this works is you have a piece of property, it has an assessed value. It may be having some sales taxes generated from that property, it may not be, typically there's not. That established what's called a base assessed value. Developer comes in, he puts that infrastructure in the ground or wherever it's going. We wait until we have time to assess the sales taxes that the property's generating. And also whatever portion of ad valorem from the city and the county are pledged. Typically, the county might pledge a percentage, or they may not, of that assessed value. The city will pledge a percentage of assessed value and a percentage of sales tax. Once we can verify those numbers from the tax assessor and from Mississippi Department of Revenue, we size the TIF bond. The developer can only get back qualified expenses. He can't get it back for anything. It's not meant to be developer-like. And that typically takes, say, 2 years, 3 years after it's in there before we have those numbers. Then we can actually issue the TIF bond. The city issues the TIF bond. What pays back the bondholder, whoever buys it, is the incremental increase in those ad valorem taxes. If those incremental increases aren't enough to pay for that bond, the developer's just out of luck. It does not count against the city's credit. It's not an item of default. I can give you a hard example of that here on the coast where that's happening right now. But these have been very common, especially on I-10 corridor, but in other places too, on the coast. That's how everything started with D'Iberville, Dr. Sangani's development. There's TIF plans and bonds in effect around Crossroads and Gulfport. And there's big projects and small projects. But it's just sort of like what Stephen and was up here talking about. It's another tool in y'all's box to attract a development that otherwise may not come.
But it's no initial outlay from the city or anything like that, it's just.
There's not.
Just a tax diversion for the developer to
That's
get his
right.
bond paid back once the bond.
Once the bond is done, there'll be you have this TIF plan, that's the first step. The developer comes in, y'all enter into a development agreement with that developer. The percentages that are pledged of ad valorem and sales can vary. They don't have to be the same thing every time. It's whatever y'all want to do. The term is also negotiable. I believe you can go out to 20 years? 30 years, but most of the time, these things, you're aiming to get local banks to buy them, so the max term is usually, at least here, this part of the state, 10 to 15 years. Compensates the developer for some of the things he puts into infrastructure that he doesn't necessarily get a cash return off of.
Right.
And the cost of issuing the bonds, the fees for the bond attorneys, other professionals like me that are in it, that comes out of the bond proceeds. So in effect, the developer's paying for that as well.
Okay.
And we can't offer that unless we have this plan sitting on the
This
shelf.
is
Until you,
very first step.
until you have a TIF redevelopment plan, which literally will be a binder like that sitting on the shelf,
So
you can't offer it.
Yeah, what happens a lot of times is a developer comes or this project comes in and they're really interested in your location and they're ready to get the ball rolling, and then you have to sit there and say, well, wait a second, we don't have a TIF plan.
Right.
So then you have to go out, hire somebody, get it started. Then, Troy, tell me if I'm wrong, but it just puts you ahead of the game. So if somebody comes in and wants to go, you're ready.
That's exactly right. And that infrastructure,
Does it
some, if not
expire
all
at
of
any
it's,
time? No,
what's that?
the plan doesn't expire after 10 years or anything like that? Doesn't have
You
to be
can make
completed.
it expire, but you don't have to. I've
If it-
had some plans,
paid money,
TIF
I'd rather
bonds I've
not
worked on
expire.
recently where they did expire, and that was a problem.
Alright.
If you're any all familiar with Pascagoula, there's a Holiday Inn, or I believe it's Holiday Inn, or Hilton Garden Inn down there that was done this way too.
Now, you said, you were talking earlier about the one that didn't work too well.
Yeah, that's public information. It's Margaritaville Casino in Biloxi, the original one.
Mhm.
There was a TIF bond that was floated for that area. A local bank bought that TIF bond. The casino went bust. That bank is not getting paid like they thought they would for that TIF bond. But it's not considered a default because the city's living up to its obligations. The little bit of money that area is generating is going to repay that bond. It's just not enough to repay the bank in full. The bank just charges it off.
Okay.
And interesting side note, in a situation like that, the city cannot levy a tax or use other funds to pay that bond. It just, the bondholder gets back what he gets.
So the city is protected all along with it
Yes,
to where
Mike,
we're
you
not
talking to Mike?
responsible for any of it.
that's right.
So there's
And,
a lot of
and
data
what
that
it does,
goes in on the
if you have someone ready to move on a project, and they're looking at two sites, it could sway one way or the other.
Right.
You know, move faster and come here or go somewhere else. So
I don't think it could sway. I think it will sway. And these are all over the board. I know Troy and I have worked together over the years on some as little as, got one right now for what, 300,000? And then you have some that go into 20 million. So
Troy and I are working on one in Gulfport now that's about 200,000.
And those will all be brought back to the council. So this is
Yeah, this
merely
is
the
strictly a
process.
plan
So,
to
yeah,
put
each
on
one of those
shelf.
will
Yeah.
be brought, okay.
everything brought back.
Everything from the developer's agreement to how the bond is issued and what terms of it are.
Again, the item on the agenda tonight is strictly to hire Lawrence with Urban Development Toolbox to write the TIF redevelopment plan and put it on the shelf.
And there is many a TIF plan that I've been exposed to that have never come off that shelf, but it's good to have it there, so if you need it, it's there.
I understand.
And if it's non-expiring, it's good to have.
Yes.
Again, my plan is to bring back tax abatement to match the county's plan. But in digging our ordinances, we actually have something that was developed after Katrina that we kind of need to do some more massaging to actually, I guess, text amendment that.
Yeah.
So there's already something on the books from Katrina's age that we need to amend.
And then theoretically, once it's all said and done, let's say we have an instance where you have an entity that does, go bankrupt, and who owns, since the investor or developer, that water and sewer, does that go back to the city, that line?
All the water sewer that's on the street, like for
Yeah,
example,
that's-
upsides and
the
water
owner-
lines, that's
the
all
owner
ours.
should-
That
Yeah,
would
when
be
you-
ours.
and
That one.
Yeah.
We
Works
would
like
be
any
getting
subdivision.
upgrade with them, through this.
Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you issue that bond, that infrastructure is considered public,
Mhm.
is conveyed to the
Okay, just want to make sure of that.
Anybody else?
And we do have real issues of just the size of water lines being able to service
Yeah,
something like that.
this is
I mean,
something,
that is a real issue
yeah.
for a developer.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the proposal of Urban Development Toolbox for professional services to development and implementation of a tax increment financing TIF redevelopment plan for a one-time fee of $5,000?
I'll make a motion with a little bit of discussion of where the 5,000 coming from.
Just under administration, consultation fees or professional services.
Okay,
Second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Councilman Hoffman makes a motion, Councilman DeSalvo seconds, the funding coming out of administration,
Under professional services,
professional
there's
services.
a line item in there. I don't know
Okay.
exactly what account number it is.
All right, any discussion?
So that wouldn't be a budget amendment, that's currently in the budget, we just have to make sure it goes in line with.
Correct, we'd have to just
Okay.
make
Yeah.
sure we're staying within budget.
Okay, no more discussion, vote to motion.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 7-0. Let's get a dust spot for it.
Step one.
Okay, item 14, motion to approve a grant anticipation note series 2024 in the amount of $3,252,299 for the harbor repairs from Hurricane Zeta.
And
This is the real reason why Jason and Troy are here tonight.
Troy's gonna-
Jason,
They
state
weren't
your
planning to
name.
get put on the spot, but
Jason, state your name and. your-
Jason Thomas, Municipal Advisors in Mississippi. Troy's going to present the resolution. I'd just like to kind of go over the results of the RFP that we sent out for this. We sent out an RFP to 5 banks. We got 2 responses. The winner was Cadence Bank at 6.18%. That is a taxable rate, meaning that interest income on it is taxable to the bondholder. It is state tax exempt, but the bigger piece of that federal is not. The term is 2 years. And the way it works is, think of it like a non-revolving line of credit. That's the most that can ever be drawn. As you need to pay invoices in connection with this project, you draw it down. And then as you receive reimbursements pursuant to the terms of the grant, as soon as you get that reimbursement back, you pay down this note. So the interest that you are ultimately charged, it only accrues from the date it's drawn down till the date it's paid back within that 2-year term. If at the end of the 2 years, if there's project's not done, there's still amounts outstanding, we'd look at doing another. But this just enabled you to get this project done without spending down the cash you have on hand, which is often not a good idea unless you're just really rolling in it. Most people aren't. These are very, very common. Done a number of these over the years. Here recently, Hancock County have done 3 with the utility.
So, I was looking at, the Cadence Bank, the note here, and so we pay this, at the end of the term?
Now, the way it works is you draw it down, you get principal, you pay it down when you get the principal or the grant reimbursement back. you pay accrued interest at that time as well to that date or for that draw. That's how that works.
So real quick, Jason, on this one, you may, because this is a FEMA project, so chances are, it's not like, utility authority, we've had great success. We get turned around really quick. This is not going to be like this. This will have to wait to project close out and then wait for FEMA reimbursement. So your line will sit out there. You won't start paying the interest until you draw down on that part of the line, but we won't have the reimbursement until the end of the project.
Yeah, if you don't draw this thing down on this for a year, you don't owe anything during that year.
Right. So I was just talking to Mike Riso earlier today, and I was just like, well, if they borrow it in a 2-year time and we get reimbursed or everything gets paid, tell us about I was wanting to know roughly what are you looking at in
If you drew it,
interest?
I just did that while I was sitting out here, a little bit more precise number. If you drew down the full amount on day one and you left it outstanding for a year, that'd be about $200,000. I've never seen one do that.
Mhm.
Generally gonna be incrementally, probably $100,000-$200,000 at a time as we start paying contracts.
That, whatever those invoices come in, when they are. And it can't be advanced until you are invoiced and the city approves payment of that.
Okay, 'cause I just always get nervous about this because FEMA can sometimes.
They are
take
slow.
years.
USDA in olden days was also slow. That's a good reason to borrow for it because they always tell you you're going to get your money back quicker than they're capable of doing. They mean well, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I just get worried that this could go 3 or 4 years down the line, and and then we're stuck paying like $200,000 a year just in interest.
Yeah, well, this note matures in 2 years or whatever it is at that time. At that time, you could do another note or you could just pay that off and be done with
Hey, well,
it,
yeah.
if you can.
Yeah. One of the things we've been told by the advisors that, FEMA will pay the interest. We don't have anything from FEMA saying, but it is,
And I currently have MEMA looking back into that too. We've asked this question multiple times.
That is something that we heard. FEMA has districts, and the district that encompasses Louisiana is different than this one, and we've been told that over there, interest has been treated as reimbursable expense. That is a change in policy. I've been doing this 25 years, and interest has never been reimbursable. Now they're saying that it could be. Like Mike was saying, we just don't have that in writing.
So we will definitely push for that. We will use our resources with the state, with DCMC, our resources with FEMA. We will definitely be pushing for that, but I just don't want you guys to go into this thinking that
100%.
interest will be written off or reimbursed because we don't know, but we will definitely be pushing for that.
And this money's gonna go to fix the south wall?
This is the south wall of the parking lot back into the parking lot, the wall. And what it is, replacing that whole south wall, taking that one out and replacing it with a new wall.
It's a project that's got to be done. I mean, it's unfortunate that
No,
you
I
have
get
to
it.
wait,
I mean,
but it's got to be
I
done.
remember when the thing was talked about earlier, but, we gotta fix the harbor, there's just no doubt about it, and, this is probably the only way we're gonna do it. If we get another storm, we're gonna get a point of no return,
Mhm.
and, you won't be able to fix it.
Troy, we'll talk about the resolution.
Pretty much covered everything. I'm Troy Johnston. I'm with Butler Snow. I'm in the public finance area, and I am a bond lawyer. This resolution authorizes the issuance of a grant anticipation note that y'all discussed in an amount not to exceed $3.252,299. Okay? It's like Jason said, your payments are going to be made. This bond will mature in 2 years. Okay? Your payments of interest and principal will be made as you get money from FEMA, and the interest is based on what you draw down. Okay? So it awards the sale of the note will go to Cadence Bank. The interest rate is 6.18%. What we'll do from here, assuming y'all approve it, is we'll go ahead. Well, you asked the question, what happens in 2 years if you're not through the project or you don't
Have
have
to renegotiate.
We've had that happen before, okay? I mean, I tell you what, when Louisville got smoked by that tornado in 14, we had to extend that note like 2 or 3 times. And, there's authorization to restructure the note, and, we do it for another year. We were doing that one at a year at a time, but, it happens. In that case, FEMA was a lot quicker to reimburse than MEMA was. But, nevertheless.
That tends to be the case even
Yeah.
today.
And I can tell you that certainly, like Heather said, we're working, the issue with reimbursing y'all for interest is not just a coast issue, it's a statewide issue. So everybody's trying to get that done. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to get it done, but we're trying. Anyway, what we'll do, assuming y'all approve this, is we're going to validate this note. So we have to go through a judicial process. You'll get you'll be able to withdraw down on the money. We'll close probably realistically about mid-January. Okay. And I'll be glad to answer any questions about this or TIF or whatever y'all want to talk about.
If it's renegotiated in 2 years, do other banks bid on it again, or?
Well, however y'all want to do.
Okay, all right, so if interest rates drop,
Yeah,
and we're still out.
in the case with Louisville, it was easier to stay with the same bank.
Yes.
But it just
Yeah.
depends on how y'all want to
To
do
be
it.
competitive, but,
Right.
yeah, okay, so, all right.
So
Sean?
Mike Russo, or Mike, so I know we've had the engineering done on this, which kind of brought us to this point. Where are we as far as contractors and things of that nature? Do we have a time estimate on how
Yeah,
long this
they're
is going
waiting
to
on,
take?
So-
no, this was approved
Yeah.
in,
Hold on. So we actually have a bid that they've
Yeah,
held
hold
for us with Gills Crane.
Okay. that's right.
Um,
That's what I was
they
trying
have
to remember if
agreed
we had
to
that bid.
keep holding that bid, but remember, we're also in litigation with them, so they've actually kind of used that over our head a little bit. So we're trying to figure that part out while we get the financing in line, because we can't award this without having your financing in line. And we can talk more about that, but I wouldn't advise it in an open meeting.
Do we have a time estimate on total project, start to finish?
Construction was about a year.
yeah, right at a year.
So hopefully we'll be within the 2-year mark.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
And even worst case scenario, if you had to rebid this project, it's sitting there. I mean, this is ready to,
Shovel ready.
it's just a matter of telling Jason, hey, repost this.
Right. All right.
Wouldn't that be our best interest possibly? Cause didn't we only get one bid last time?
It definitely, yes,
I would think it'd be in our best interest, maybe.
it may be.
consider it.
I mean, it's always a little interesting to me if a contractor in today's market sitting on a bid for that long.
Almost a year.
Yes, a lot of
Typically,
things.
they're not guaranteeing bids over 60 days these days. And so the fact that he's been willing to sit on this is interesting to me.
And the reason he's sitting, when we bid this, we got one bid back and it came in at this price. The project worksheet was this price, and it took almost a year to get FEMA to bring the project worksheet up to the bid number.
So, yeah.
So it's been just
The original
wait and
price
see.
was only 1.2, 1.4. It was, yeah, so we were
Almost
$2 million off. So that's what we've had to work and use our federal resources and friends to get this project adjusted for us.
While they was doing this paperwork, so I think it's about 2 months out anyway. That would give us time to possibly re-advertise and rebid.
The council wanted to
The
consider
council wanted to consider that.
Well, would that kill the current bid that you have if it comes back way higher?
It would.
Yeah.
Probably
So
say
it's
we stick with what we got.
Hmm?
I said I would say we probably stick with what we got. I don't know if you want to bring Mr. Roth up as part of the harbor administration, but he's got his hand raised.
Chris, you sat on the harbor board. You can come up and ask
I
a
will
question.
say, if Mr. Chris is about to talk about anything that is involved in litigation, I would,
Just don't
strongly
talk
and-
about litigation.
I will save
Odds
you
against
that
that.
caveat.
thank you.
I'm just curious, haven't been chairman of the Harbor Commission for a number of years, and I'm off of it now. So my question to the citizen, how does this address the subsidence aspect of it, the entertainment deck and all that? Is that?
It
part
does
of
not.
That's not part of it.
That's not. so
Completely
it's-
separate project.
It's strictly the south wall.
South wall.
Okay.
And that part's coming.
The only thing that's similar is the contractor. The
Okay.
contractor involved in that deck and the
Right.
sinking is the same contractor that
Right.
bid on this.
Move that. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just a comment that the city has hired Moffett Nichols to design that settlement So that's being designed right now for that process.
In the south walls, Moffett Nichols involved in that
No.
No.
repair? No?
Jason already designed
They
it.
did look at it. Didn't they look at the scope of work?
I think they might have looked at scope work as part of the thing, but I mean.
So who's engineering this wall?
Jason Kenichi.
Jason
Jason,
designed
yeah.
that and did that project before Moffett Nichols was here.
And I may have heard wrong. Did you say the same contractor that did the original event deck is the contractor involved on this?
He's the
Correct.
contractor that did the whole harbor.
But we've had a lot of issues with that event deck that was pointed out by Moffett and Nichols.
Oh, yeah.
That's the point we're
Yes.
making,
Mhm.
that it's the only contractor that you received on the bid.
So the ones that came in, were they from England? Had that English?
Moffett Nickel.
They're from New Orleans, or their office, I think, is in New Orleans, but he's
So
from Ireland.
they're going to do this project?
No.
No, this is a Jason Kenichi, this is a Kenichi Engineering project.
They looked at the scope of
They're
work.
on the east wall of the parking lot and the
Okay.
event deck. That's what they looked at.
So there's multiple projects in the harbor. This is that south wall, only the south wall. This is a FEMA project that has a FEMA project worksheet that's took us over a year to get after we went out for bids on this. We had approval to go out. We had the estimate from FEMA. We went out for bid. It came back $2 million over what FEMA had committed to it. So then we spent right at a year, if not longer, working with MEMA to get a project adjustment. We got the worksheet adjustment modification 2 months ago, or less than 2 months ago. And so that's where we immediately started working on financing to get this done. Separate from that is your event deck, your parking lot, your sinkholes. That's what's all is in litigation that Moffett and Nichols is looking into. And just to, construction wise, they're two separate types of, I mean, I know it's all the harbor, but it's different construction.
I kind of agree with Mr. DeSalvo. I think it's, now that just listening to that, this seems kind of,
I would again encourage you to have that conversation in an executive session.
oh, you want to put this vote off until next week or next meeting?
Well, we still have to have this no matter what.
No matter who does the work stuff.
Yeah, whether we go out or
Need to
not,
do
we
it.
still have to have this in place.
There would be another motion that would award the low bid,
So
low
what
best
if
bid to
if
the
you go
contractor.
out
If this
for
doesn't
bid
award the
And
contract.
it comes back $4 million. Then you back to square one
Then
again.
we gotta go
That-
back
that-
to FEMA
that
and
again
ask,
is a
then we gotta
session-
go back to
I mean,
FEMA and ask more money, but we're still not drawing down on this money. You know,
Right now, the max we got from FEMA reimbursement is to 3.25, so if we went over, we'll have to.
All right, council want to make a motion as we get this rolling?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for grant anticipation note.
I got a motion from
2024.
Councilman Hoffman to approve the resolution for grant application note series 2024 in the amount of $3,252,299 for harbor repairs from Hurricane Zeta.
Second.
Have a second by Councilman DeSalvo. Any more discussion? Vote your motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Talk to y'all soon.
Thank y'all.
Thank God.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, next item, let's see. So we're gonna talk about the grass contract.
Yeah, we, put together grass contract, talked about doing a budget with a 7% increase. Going into it, we took some, the complexes away, the sports complexes, put that out for separate, pricing for that. Some ditches and some right-of-ways have been added towards the grass cutting. That bid came in, that price came in at $465,870.
You said bid or price?
That's prices, we had an option of 3 one-year options in this contract that we could do.
Yeah, but this is totally changed from the original thing. And after looking at this needs to go back out for rebid.
I mean, what do you mean, what changed drastically?
Well, the price has changed. You pulled out services. There's a lot of difference in this contract
We
from the
did,
original.
we had 458 in the budget, 458,000 something, I don't remember the
Yeah,
exact
I get
number.
that. I understand what you're
So
saying.
with 7,000 more with items added, if we wanna pull those items out, I mean, that's up to y'all. You know, but, we budgeted 458 here and we budgeted 30.
Is that a
And-
rocket test?
What was it? And then we had 30,000 budgeted in Parks and Rec for grass cutting, and that's over, I think it's, I think this one's over like 7,000, 8,000, and the other one would be over about 6,000.
Well, I'm of a different nature. I think this needs to go back out for rebidding. That's my thing. This is a big number, and I think you can give other companies opportunity to bid this. And I just read the bid law, and anything over 75,000 has to go out for bid. This thing that you're gonna.
This is a service.
It's not a service. Cutting grass.
Not
I mean,
a
to
service?
say that it's not it's we put this out for bid before many times.
I understand. It is a service, but,
Yeah, and that's where I'm
Yeah.
getting at. I think we need to bid it.
so if we'd have been at 458,000 like we budgeted, you wouldn't have a problem?
I'm saying is that
Only reason I'm asking, 'cause I mean, we went through
I don't need
budget
you to
and
put-
nothing was said
I'm just
about
saying.
going out for proposals, new proposals, or anything, and I'm just wondering if it's the extra $6,000 and $8,000.
So we're making up about, so based on what's presented tonight, there's about $40,000 worth of services that will be taken off of Lombardo as it stands with the complexes. And
No.
he's gonna be making that, yeah, about in the
It's
neighborhood of 40,000. And that's
How
gonna be
much?
made up with the sport complex.
It's about 23,000.
And that's gonna be made up in additional cuts?
It's gonna be
And
made
exactly
up.
where?
Yes, it's gonna be made up with 200 block of Auburn Avenue to Carroll Ditch, Ballantyne to Washington Ditch, and the 200 block Dunbar to Old Bay Lane to Comagé Ditch, north and south Spanish Acres Ditch, Sunset Drive to Dunbar Avenue Ditch, Oak Boulevard and south for that ditch, Longfellow Drive to Penashara, in between those two roads, that ditch, Green Meadow in the turn by the hospital in that area, that big ditch there.
And those weren't included on the original agreement from?
No. Also it will include $11 cuts, which we budgeted 6 before, that goes, let's see, to the 603 from the ditch to the wood line. So every other time, 603 will be cut from wood line to wood line. The other 11 times it'll be cut from ditch to ditch. It also includes 22 cuts, up from 6 cuts for the 4 corridors of the interstate and 603, all the way to the wood line, instead of just 22 cuts right along the edge of the turning lane and right in that area there. It go from wood line to all 4 corners of the wood line. That's the increase of 16 cuts there.
And there was not, in the original agreement, there's not an auto escalator based on CPI increase or anything like that. We
No.
determined doing a 7% increase and going forward.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any other escalators in the current presented agreement as we stand now either, right?
And then that's with this contract.
Yeah, so I looked at this, the contracts, grass cutting's $504,000. Those are $500,000 of grass cutting contracts. Last time Gulf Breeze was pretty close to, $16,000 difference.
No, it's 320 when it first started.
Well, if you add, so you they had a bunch of line items, right?
Yeah.
So there was $88,000 difference, and there was $66,000 deduct, which wound up being $16,000 difference between Gulf Breeze and Lombardo, right? So to me, yeah, it's $500,000 contract, and I agree, we need to go out for rebid on it. I mean, the grass is not growing right now, we can extend Lombardo a month or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then just go back and Lombardo's hungry or Gulf Breeze is hungry, well, you know, we'll get a rebid. We already got the process in place. We got the delineation of what's gotta be cut. So there's no reason we can't give it to the contractors that would be willing to look at this and put pencil to paper and, rebid a new contract.
Councilman Seal, I don't care whether or not y'all bid this or not, but the only thing I will say is, if I'm remembering correctly, the last time this was put out for bid, I don't think Gulf Breeze bid on it. And then they did not, actually. I know they did not bid on it when they were the current contractor. And if I also remember correctly, Lombardo's, the proposal that went out there, so if you look at what Gulf Breeze was doing versus what Lombardo is doing, is not going to be apples to apples, to use your terms that you like, because there was added scope of services in Lombardo specifically to address the issues that we had formerly had with Gulf Breeze. That was not Gulf Breeze's problem. It wasn't anything they're doing wrong. It was just not in their contract to do. So the scope of services, whenever the contract was entered into with Lombardo, was expanded upon.
Yeah.
We added all the city properties, we added more cuts, different things.
Yeah, it was substantially larger, and I think at that time you guys looked, man, lots happened in 4 years, but I believe you actually removed city, at that time you had a couple of grass payers full-time on the city, and you took those positions and you turned certain things over to Lombardo to do. So I just encourage you, if you're comparing numbers, don't compare Gulf Breeze, because I don't think you're looking at the right set of numbers.
I don't think you looked.
2019 Gulf Breeze was bid on the contract.
Yeah, and then Lombardo's was
And they
what,
come back
21?
21, they come back, but they did, Lombardo and Gulf Breeze bid on the same contract in 2019. So, and
Well,
Lombardo was a little bit
Lombardo,
cheaper.
I don't, Lombardo wouldn't have,
I thought that was RCI.
yeah, it was RCI. I don't even think Lombardo lived here. And
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
the first time we
we
bid.
took off in 2017, so probably
Yeah,
2018.
it was
Yeah.
2017.
No,
or
Lombardo
something
didn't
like
bid,
No, it was RCI and Gulf Breeze.
and somebody else.
Gulf-
And
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
one of
RCI
And then-
was
three of
like
them.
$600,000.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty
Gulf Breeze,
substantial.
well, we
Way
canceled that
below
contract because
And
it
then
did
we
go up to
had one with
600,000.
Lombardo in 21, which I think that price was 6, 7, I don't
Yeah.
have, but it was $600,000-$700,000 for that grass cutting. bid.
Gulf Breeze for my ward, all I do is get complaints.
No, Gulf Breeze,
It was- it
Gulf
Which-
Breeze service was nowhere near
I-
what we.
Which
get.
is why we, I
Right.
think, which is why we decided to put it out, and I'm also assuming, which is why Gulf Breeze probably did not submit a bid, because they probably knew there was a reason that it was,
So
going out.
we did send this out for bid this time.
no, this was put out for bid when Lombardo came on, and I will tell you, not to speak for the mayor, but just from sitting here and seeing things, there's a huge transition period. Y'all do not have your normal city, especially Josh's ward with Ward 6. There's a big a transition period and a learning curve to learn this city. So that's why I get it's a substantial amount of money. I think that is also why grass cutting is viewed as a service. And a lot of times we tack on the word professional. That's wrong. We shouldn't say professional service. It's service. It's a service that's being performed by the city. And so that's why, you do not have to follow your contracting bid laws.
But we've labeled it as a professional service.
I mean, that you can,
So I do have a concern just in terms of its.
I don't know what you're talking about there, Kyle.
I do have a concern just in terms of the current status. I mean, every time we go into agreement, I try to make a practice of looking at the Secretary of State, and as of 12/1, it does look like Lombardo Industries it's been a dissolved entity. It's not a registered entity with the state of Mississippi. So does that put us, again, it's 12/1, you can look on the Secretary of State. So where does that put us in going forward until that license is renewed?
You probably just didn't do his yearly report.
Yeah, he probably
So
I forgot to file.
probably just need to tell him he needs to go in. and
Yeah.
That happens very frequently.
So is he still able to perform work as it stands now until that's rectified?
I mean, if I had to guess, he has no clue that's like that. And if somebody told him, he would probably be horrified. And within 30 seconds, the report would be submitted to the Mississippi Secretary of State's
I
website.
mean, you can look it up. It's a notice to dissolve or revoke on 9/1 that they send. I mean, it's all, again, this is all just on the Secretary of State's website, so it looks like there was a notice. But again, I just want to make sure and going forward that does not give the city any liability that he's not a registered entity with the state right now, pursuant to the agreement that it says he is.
No, really, all it would do is shift his liability to him personally, and take it away from his LLC.
Which is probably a single member LLC, so it's probably one and the same. I mean, it needs to be corrected, don't get me wrong, it absolutely needs to be corrected.
There's
I'm
no
glad you
expense to
looked
the
it up.
city at this point for that.
Well, like I said, I always like to go bid things out, and this is a huge contract, and there may be some people that would be interested in something like this, so, if, I would like to poll the council, see if they wanna go out for bid. Gene, what do you think?
I think the service has been really good with Lombardo, but I'm never opposed to saving some money if we can, so I'll go with whatever
Okay.
everybody else thinks.
Councilman Reed?
Well, I think their services has been good, but looking at the amount of this contract, I would, you know, I would go out for bid, you know, never know,
Yeah.
might save some money, might not. But I would go out for bid with the amount of the contract.
Thank you, Councilman DeSalvo.
I've been happy with Lombardo services and everything, and I know we bid it a couple years ago. I'm fine with the 7% increase over 3 years is what they're really asking for. The rest of the changes in scopes of services, not increased cost, it's just different scopes to drive the increase up, so, I'm good.
Councilman Lewis?
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Hoffman and Councilman Reed in that. Mr. Lombardo's been very responsive when it comes to anything needed. I think the service has been adequate, but I do believe in competitive process and putting out for bid as well. So I would like to see that direction.
Councilman Davis? Woman?
What is the time frame if we put out for bids?
It has to advertise for 2 weeks, once they, put the specs together, and it goes out for a 2-week bid in the paper.
All I know is my ward gets, even during the winter, it grows fast and thick.
No, they'll still continue cutting, they can go month to month. And, but I just wanted to see if there's anything out there with a better price or whatever these services that, we're extending, because we're breaking stuff out now, and we're getting other companies involved in cutting, the ball fields and stuff. So now you got 2 grass cutting contracts running around in here.
I
It's
think
up to you, though.
They'll be doing a little more than just grass cutting now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 38 cuts instead of 22 cuts a year.
And
You mean cycles?
Huh?
You mean cycles?
38 cuts for the complexes.
Okay.
Right now, we're 22 cuts a year.
Councilman Seal?
Yeah.
I mean,
What-
I'm sorry, Ms. Davis,
I'm okay.
you're good to,
I think I would go with Lombardo right now, but y'all
Okay.
have more
No,
info
that's
from y'all space.
Councilman Seal?
We're gonna go out for bids.
Okay.
Anybody else bids, that's fine, but
I would just like to point out, just because I feel like I have a duty to do so, here we are tonight with this, and this is on a public agenda with a contractor's bid numbers out there. And so now
I asked Mr. Riso to pull this off the thing and take his bid down. Earlier
it's been out there since,
Been
Well-
out there since Wednesday, Tuesday.
yeah.
Well, y'all didn't call me or say that, hey, I'm putting this out and putting his numbers out. So, y'all put this out. That's on y'all. That's not our, that's not
We
our.
did what was asked, what we discussed in budget time, we brought back to you.
Yeah, okay, well, that was budget. That was
So,
6 months ago.
it would've been nice to say during budget time, to say, hey, let's
You
put
could've
this
picked
out
up the
for
phone
proposal.
and said, hey, I wanna put this
We
contract out.
discussed this out, I didn't want to, I'm satisfied with what we have. I think we got a good product, I think the price is good. But again, it would've been nice doing budget to say, hey, let's go out for proposals ahead of time, so we wouldn't be sitting here like this. Not one time did we say, let's go out for proposals. So, you can
I wanna make a motion, anybody wanna make a motion to go out for bid?
And then I also, if you're gonna do that, that's fine too, but there's very much of a difference between a bid and an RFP. And so if you go out for a bid, a true bid, that's a lowest and best. If you go out for a proposal, then you're asking for qualifications and you're asking for proof that they can do the work. So if you're gonna make that motion, I would just ask for you to let the administration know if you want to go out for a bid or if you want to go out for a proposal.
Didn't we do it for a bid last time? If I'm not mistaken, it was
I'm not sure, but we have a City of Bay St. Louis
What's a
Grass Cutting
proposal?
Services proposal form that we gave each vendor last time. Shows about that we have to update it for the new areas we
so
will add.
proposal, they're gonna have to put
So it
prices
says
in.
proposal
That needs to be
on
open.
it, proposal
As a
form.
proposal, yes, there is a proposal form, but as a proposal, price is a component of that.
And then, you know, we can review the bids, and of course, the bid law says you can pick the lowest and the best.
This is not bid law. This is not Mississippi contracting. This is not under bid law. So that's why I'm asking you, you have to choose which mechanism you want to use. And if you're just gonna go out there and put something and say, give me these prices, if you're not gonna ask for qualifications, you need to have so the last time we went out for
Last
this,
time we did ask for qualifications, because they gave us a list of tractors and all that.
you're correct, we asked for proposals. So that's why
Okay, I understand.
you asked for a motion asking for a bid, so that's why I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
understand
clarify
what
here.
you're saying. You're good.
So do we want to keep it as the same as this was put out last and request for proposals?
Yes, proposals, and they can design they have a list of stuff that Mike wants to do, so many cuts per thing that they can put together in a proposal. So I'll make a motion that, we go out for proposals for grass cutting contract. Mr. Riso, if you can put together the bid package, so, you know, listing everything that you want. And, I would add back those cuttings on the fields also, and see where that comes out.
That would be the next one. You need to make the same
Mhm.
recommendation for 16.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Seal. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Hey,
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, 3-4. Wait, Gene, you were a nay?
mm-hmm.
Okay, 3-4. Passes. Go out for proposals, passes 3-4.
And my no vote is because when we had golf breeze, I seen with Lois and Best guy, that's phone ringing.
No,
complaints.
this
You know, I know,
is
I'm just
not
saying.
Lois and Best.
I know.
She said that's not in this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what's the next thing on here?
16.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, lost my computer. Okay. So the next one is, professional service contract, for the sport complexes, and they were recommending B&H Lawn, and the city of Bay St. Louis. So y'all wanna add these cuts into proposal as well and just hold off for a little while? Okay, that's good. So we're gonna table this until you can put the proposals together and put this out.
So this is a lot more than just grass cutting though, so.
But you
That
need
could
to,
be
the
apples to
motion was
apples.
to approve this, so you need to make the motion to go out for proposals as well.
Okay. Well, I would
If
like
that's what
this
you want.
put into the other contract and keep it all in one.
Yeah.
My
So,
thing was to separate it into two.
Right.
For more, these two bids we got here is people that does this, not just cut grass in a ditch, not this and that. These people do ballparks and everything, they do rec, they do different things. That's why we'd like to keep them separate. If the same guy can bid on it and prove that they can do it, then so be it. But we would still like to keep these separate.
These numbers aren't as big as the full gas, if y'all, pleasure to
This is
council, if y'all wanna keep these in
39,000,
place.
I think I think we should just okay this proposal as it is and
Was
get
this,
this aspect of it done, cause they could start doing these fields and complexes now.
was these fields and, complexes, were they included in with Lombardo?
No, Virgin.
Where's the
Was
prices?
Lombardo doing these?
Mike, I don't
Originally,
see the
yes.
prices
They were
What?
doing them?
in this contract.
For which one?
I'm sorry.
For which prices
On
for
the
what?
B and H, I see his contract, but there's
Yes,
no price.
Scroll down on it. It was,
Yeah, you got it.
yeah, they're down there.
Exhibit A didn't come in on my
Keep
on my
scrolling.
machine.
So he was doing these already.
He was doing
Yeah,
the
mine's there.
Oh, I
He
see.
was doing the grass cutting
He
on,
was only
on
doing-
this
Right.
22 times a year.
Yeah, it's $580 for sports complex and $600
Yeah, it
cut
didn't come through
Yeah.
on mine.
for, soccer fields.
And that's the one where Brad's the owner?
You know, my thing is, we have a rec department now in City of Bay St. Louis, so the sports complex fertilization should be handled by the recreation department. Aeration could be handled by it, as well as ant control. Edging the field one time a year. I don't know why our rec department don't manage these fields. I've managed the fields at Bays since 1999. Aeration, fertilizing, seeding, lining the fields. I don't understand this, quite honestly. We have a rec department, a recreation director now. He should be managing our fields.
And that's what they've done.
Yeah,
for
he
the
should
most
continue to do
part.
it. Even cutting, we got grass cutters, we got zero turns, you know, that they can go weed eat and cut grass if they need to.
So you want to do away with this contract?
It was done by, grass cutting was done by the original contractor. The weeding, the turf fertilization can be done in-house. Aeration can be done in-house. Ant control can be done in-house. Edging the ant field once a year can be done in-house. We have people that we're paying to do this today, beside just the grass cutting, right? Lombardo was doing it 22 times a year.
And we filled in the rest of the time. And then soccer had,
Okay, we have people that we
soccer
pay to do
had the
that.
other ones fill in the
But in the soccer field, county lands?
Yeah.
Well, I think
You
it'd
put
be a
this in
good
the
thing to
original-
have it as an in-house cut project. I mean, if we have the equipment.
We've been, you know, I mean, Lombardo's been doing these projects, I mean, these sports complexes, and they've been doing an adequate job on them throughout the years. Yeah, it's not a big number, but, again, you know, I think if we have a recreation department, City of Bay St. Louis, they need to be maintaining those fields. I mean, that's their fields, that's what we're paying them for, quite honestly, and, yeah, we can always use the help of the complex. We appreciate the city helping pay for it. You know, we had over 540 kids in a program this year, one of the
You're
biggest.
talking about
programs
soccer?
In soccer, yeah.
Okay.
You know, one of the biggest programs in the county. It's always been stable, it's always been steady, so we appreciate any help that we can get. But again, right, at what cost? And, you know, yeah, $4,000 for ryegrass fertilization is about what I spend a year to maintain the complex. Yeah, I mean, whatever y'all think, I'm just,
So I still don't see what the price is for B and H. It didn't come through.
39,000.
39,000.
yeah, 39,000, and that's
2250 and 1650.
I'm sorry, what's that?
It's just a total, yeah, we just have a total, Mike.
39.
Yeah, just a total 39.
That's
on our-
total. The other total was, 29,650 and 18. $48.
So Doug, I guess, so originally this was put in, but as the mayor had mentioned, there's additional applications of, ant control,
Correct.
ryegrass, all
Yes.
that. Do we want to put, and I think the frequency of cuts, do we want to put that same, have those ball fields back in the specs for the request for proposals?
For grass cutting, yeah. I mean, ant control is once a year, right? Edging infield's once a year. I mean, I'm not controlling ants once a year. You know, I go granulate, I gotta granulate 2-3 times a year. Right, I gotta fertilize multiple times. Overseed the field, then continue to fertilize during the season, or field, seed during the seasons.
So you're saying this is not enough?
Yes. To me, it's just a lot of line items, quite honestly. But
Well,
not-
Doug, you know more
it's
about
not my personal opinion, it's my, not professional opinion, but I've done this
Yeah.
factually.
So,
I think-
what's your recommendation on
I think
this?
grass cutting, you know, should be done this, you know, if we want to continue with the grass cutting contractor to do it. Did we take out enough of $40,000 worth of stuff out of grass cutting that we can get a little bit of extra? But I think a lot of this is just line items. You know, we're gonna go spread and control once a year in the whole sports complex of Bay St. Louis. Well, what's that gonna do? It's only $850, of course, but
Actually, that's $200.
$200, $850 to edge 'em. But right, what's once a year gonna do? Right, we chase ants constantly at the softball, at the soccer fields, weekly. You know, again, it's just a lot of line items, right?
If you could kill the termites, that'd be one.
Yeah.
Oh, find that out. But with these added line items and all, the cuts are still cheaper than what it was previously with this added, you know, seed and fertilizer and everything else.
I guess this is trying to get more cuts to keep it, cause I've seen the soccer field.
Oh, yeah.
To where it looked like it was baling hay.
Yep.
With
Oh, it
that
is.
cut
It's-
sometimes too.
It can get away,
Yeah,
for sure. If it's wet, you can't cut them.
yeah,
That's the problem. Yeah, the baseball field gets high too as well, so,
yeah,
so,
so.
you know, grand scheme of
And
things,
they use it for
Y'all want that in,
maybe football
with the
practice.
regular grass cutting?
I'd like to see what it comes back at, yeah.
Okay, so we wanna add this into the the
Yeah.
total grass cutting?
Yep.
Okay,
Two complexes. Sport
I'm
com-
sorry?
The two sports.
Two sports
the two
complexes.
sport complexes.
Yep.
I just-
With excluding the lining of the fields, right? Like me and Mr. Mayor talked about.
We're
that earlier.
excluding everything except grass cutting.
Okay,
Fertilizer, aeration, and that's what y'all said.
yep. Keep doing what we're doing.
All right, do we need to go back and amend the motion to go out for bid, our proposals? Heather?
No, I think you can just make a motion to
Deny this.
deny that.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to deny this.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Seal.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Nay.
All right.
Nay.
Aye.
No.
Oh. All right, go ahead.
Aye.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to do it again, cause I lost count. Go ahead, Gene.
Nay.
Gene and Josh.
Nay.
Jeffrey.
You just get one vote.
I'm sorry, I lost count.
Nay, nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion to deny passes, 3-4.
All right.
Next item, let's see where we're at. 17,
Yeah, this is, First, Second Street off of Leg and 18th off Avenue B. Been looking at this since we were back in the middle of the summer and everything, trying to get with the county to use that contract. Stockstill been pretty tied up and now he's finally getting a chance to break loose to do some small projects. You know, they was up there with the Buckies and everything going on, still up that way, but they have an opportunity now where we can use them through the county contract. In the meantime, we tried to get, we had one bid come in from a contractor that's no longer in business. So, you know, even then, couldn't get a second bid on it as well to perform the work. What this is a few roads that we're looking at under Ida Road repairs that was, damaged doing that, and they continue to fall apart to where they're in real bad shape. We keep bringing millings out there, trying to keep it graded and everything. So we're looking at, we have an opportunity now to get this done under the county contract. That contract expires at the end of this month, but if we can get it, you know, on the list, it'll still be covered under that. At first, we thought we could use the CapEx funds and all, but we can't use that because we can't repay the county with that. Because we'd have to follow bid laws and go out for bids, which we wouldn't have the county contract on that, on the pricing and everything. So we're asking that, you know, we take half of the road and bridge funds and use it on this, then take the CapEx money and use for matching.
talking 500,000, half of the road and bridge fund?
380, I think it is. They have to give us half. And
187.
187, I'm sorry.
Half of the two.
Half of the.
Half of the
allocation.
380, yes. half of, and then that money was intended to be used for, some of the, matches on the sidewalks, Washington, Buyer, the 603 project and all. So we can use the CapEx funds to do that, and if there's any overrun on this outside of that contract, we could use it in that as well.
It's a long way of just saying you're basically just moving money around.
Yeah.
So what money are we gonna use? I see that there's under council business, there's a motion to repave the depot parking and roadway. What money
totally different.
what money are we gonna use to do that?
We're gonna use, the bond we have. The grant, I'm
Grant,
sorry.
The Gulf Coast Restoration Fund
Rest-
grant, the outstanding from how we made the depot repairs, there's some money outstanding in there that needs to be spent before the legislature snatches it from us, so that's where that's gonna come from.
And how much do we have in that?
Probably somewhere around 330 in that neighborhood. That goes out for bid probably next week, middle of the week,
You told me, yeah.
following week max. So.
That's
that
gonna
should-
cover that whole thing that Jason sent to us?
I'm not sure what Jason sent. No, the first one, no. The first one he sent was all the work at the depot, talking about tearing up the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
talking to Mike.
I think the first bid he sent was done a couple of years ago where we had looked at,
This was in 23 that we.
right, taking out all the sidewalks, redoing the parking over in front of the community hall. I think it was $200,000 just to do that. We're not looking at, because of the spots we're gaining, is not a whole lot of spots. So this is to do.
I mean, we talked about paving over the rocks and
Yeah,
everything.
that's part of it. The rocks out front and everything is part of it. The rest of it is paving Depot Road around through there, striping this and that and everything. Paving out on the road out there, more parking spots going down there. Parking over at Stanislaus across the street in the triangle there to go down the street there. That, we got that in with that. And to do the parking on that side of the road going down, and then on the corner down there where Al Kingston's past him towards the corner, we'll take that square up there and also make parking up there. Then it also would include, as I think, in the contract with Stanislaus, put like a little rope barrier up to keep people from driving out in the middle of it.
So there's enough money in the grant money to do,
Yes,
which is, okay.
yes.
And so this is gonna cover the whole parking lot at the depot, the road?
The grant will cover that. Will cover the
Will
road
likely-
and everything.
When that advertise, it'll likely have alternatives in it, just in case prices would come up that, okay, this part gets scratched or whatever, but the priority is Depot
We could
Way.
use the CapEx money to fill in any gaps on that.
Correct.
If you had to,
Yes.
that road paving could be considered for that.
Yes.
On the
That's eligible.
community center, can we do some better lighting on the parking lot side?
Yes, they looking at that with Mississippi Power, come in like they did over by the parking garage to install those LEDs they have over there.
Yeah.
Pretty much same thing as that. I'll check with Ronnie and see where that, I know he's brought them out. I don't know what they recommended. I'm not sure if they had that study done yet as far as proposal.
So I guess what I'm looking at this paving thing. What are y'all putting out there? I mean, there's no specifications for pricing on a linear footage. It's just.
It's done by tonnage through the county. It'd be a 2-inch overlay. They'll come in, prepare the bed. I think one of the streets.
Is this DBST?
No, it's a
Asphalt.
2-inch asphalt overlay. And so on First Street to the west will be an overlay. First they'll come in and I think they call it some kind of grinding where they take what's there and grind it in with the soil and everything to make a bed. Then they'll come in, and do that, and they'll grade the road out, have it prepared to put a 2-inch, overlay on that. The rest of it is come in and patch and to level out some bad spots and all through there, and put a 2-inch overlay down First Avenue H, and then back down to Second Street back to Lagan. 18th Street is gonna be the same thing. Come in there, level up the road and everything, grade it out and everything, and then with a 2-inch cap there.
So some of these areas are the ones they're impacted by the DBST that was used
Some of them what?
prior to Ida, but we're not going back with the same material that.
No,
that
this
falls-
is an asphalt, and that's what we're waiting on through Congressman Ezel's office, trying to work with us with FEMA and all. That bid for FEMA came in for the DBST. I think it was 3.6 million for that. They allowed us 1.6 million. We asked then if we could go ahead and just pave it and all, because paving at the time, we could get for about 2.2 million to do the same, all the roads. Came in at 3.6 million, whatever it is. Went back to FEMA, asked, hey, can we do this? They kept saying, well, it's an improvement. You gotta start over. What starting over means, you know, we already waited 3 years for this now. So it's starting over another 3 years. Congressman Zell's office and all is working with them, trying to get them to speed the process up to see if that's possible or not.
So the sense of urgency is because Stockstill's contract can be up with the county in the next month?
It's up and they're available to do some small jobs right now. It's hard to pull them off, you know, a big job and for them to come do.
But we've been sitting up, so this CapEx fund though, we've had this for a while.
We've had that for,
July.
yes, this is the second, I guess maybe a year now,
No, that kept.
year and a half.
Was that not this July allocation?
funded in 23, so we
Yeah.
received the money at the end of 23 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the previous year. This was,
Yeah.
okay.
Wasn't
Okay.
24 legislative.
So
Okay.
we've had it probably a year.
But we can't use the full, the 250,000 of the CapEx as it stated. Is that correctly stated on the staff report to authorize?
No, that staff
No.
report has not been updated. So
Okay.
I would encourage you to not even look at that. It should have
No.
been removed.
That was the original intent to use the CapEx, but after going through everything, we're not, you know, we just can't use it to repay the county with that. We'd have to follow bid laws at that time and everything, go out for bids and
So
everything.
let me
So-
explain something, and this will maybe clarify Gary's question. This would be a county project, so all you're doing is asking the county to do this project for you. So this would be completely run, the city of Bay St. Louis would, other than, you know, Vic would consult Ronnie, I'm sure. But
Yes.
this would be a Hancock County project, run through the county, paid for by the county. So instead of submitting that road and bridge money to the city of Bay St. Louis, they would just withhold that. We have done that
Oh, I understand what
before in
you're
the
saying.
past. It makes it really easy.
Yeah,
and
we've
then
done
you
that.
don't
I think we
have-
did that a couple years ago with something.
We have,
Yeah,
and
we
it's the legal
Yeah.
way that we can utilize, because they can spend money in, you know, within the city limits on.
Don't
road
they
and
usually?
yeah,
We would
probably.
have
Once
to-
if they agreed to do it, they'd probably send us something saying this is what
Yeah,
they're doing.
and we need something to go to them for their next
Correct.
meetings, asking for this and everything, to move forward with it.
I mean, they may not even agree to do this. We don't, this is just asking them to
No.
do it, and it's a way to get it done.
Were these streets that we're gonna ask the county to pave, did they have that stuff on there?
DBST?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so how is FEMA gonna look at that we're gonna take this out of the?
We just won't turn, if FEMA doesn't change that scope of work, we just won't turn these streets in.
But if we did have another disaster,
And go
they
back
would
with
cover it
asphalt.
with the asphalt.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
we're improving it, but the
Correct.
next
Yeah.
disaster.
We're doing the improvement ourselves. We talked with, what's his name, Michael? You know, and he's okay with it, to go forward with it. When we get the FEMA money, whichever way we do, we just won't be able to claim these couple streets right here.
And First and Seconds both had new houses built since then on it. and
Yeah.
The condition's just getting worse, and 18th is,
You know, we continue to bring out there and everything. Right now, they're doing drainage work out there, trying to get some of that flowing and everything. There's a running well out there, working with the county as well with that, trying to find a way we might be able get that water out of there instead of hanging on the road and in the woods and all, so.
So the streets haven't changed as to what was described in that staff report, but the mechanism of funding has,
Yes.
right? So there's no other additional, those are the same streets that we plan on.
Correct.
Mechanism of funding is gonna be the FY 25 road and bridge funds.
Yeah.
As stated in the motion.
Yep. And again, it's First and Second Street off of Lagan, east and west off of that. Second Street to the east, and then H Street running from First through Second there to the end of it.
yes, sir.
And then 18th Street off Avenue B.
Yes. To the left, yeah. And 18th Street's got like 4 new houses, I think.
Correct.
At the end of it, so it's all waterfront lots.
What's the normal thickness that goes back there? Is it always 2 inches?
Inch and a half
Inch and a half?
is usually what they come in and overlay, like over your asphalt and everything. You know, 2 inches, you know, I think it's gonna give us a better bed in that area, you know, and hold up even more. one of the things we're looking at, I think it's 18th Street where it comes on to Avenue B.
They're gonna do base repair, you said?
They'll come in and grade it, make, level everything, whatever's gotta be done, to get the base right.
What percentage of the streets is this correct for the faulty material used in the past with the 2020 bond money? Is this 100%, done 100% corrected, right?
Wait,
On the
wait,
streets?
what
No.
So
percentage?
does this cover, so what percentage of those streets does this correct what was faulty, used for faulty material?
Oh, from
You know,
FEMA?
very
Yeah, from the
small
damage
percentage.
with that.
Oh, small, that, this is,
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
I got
I don't want to throw, but say if this is 250,000 out of $3.6 million.
Yeah.
So the plan would still be going back to FEMA and requesting.
Yeah, none
coverage
of that
for-
has
Plan
changed.
still to go back to FEMA, because again, we can, the DBST project through FEMA is 3.6 million. To do the DBST, we can go and do paving for around 2.2, 2.4 million. We can save them, we can get a better product and everything, and still save them over $1 million
You
to
send this-
anybody, I guess.
You send this to Doge,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
You know,
new,
it does make sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because it's an improved
watch
project, it's cheaper, a better product for the future. We took them around, showed them to where these roads here were paved next door. These roads with the DBST that stayed underwater, right after it was done for all them days and weeks and everything. And nothing wrong with the asphalt roads. These roads here, just falling apart.
Yeah.
And, I don't understand why it's that hard of a decision to make.
Yeah.
But
Can we
it's
see if we can
FEMA.
get in the different FEMA districts, since Louisiana seems like everything we deal with's got it so much better?
Well, yeah, it goes back to that grant as well,
That's
that
what I'm
saying.
grant anticipation. We're gonna be trying to get them to pay as we go, whether they will or not, I don't know. They get it for the raising the homes, maybe we can make headway, but we're not counting on that.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
'Cause
So,
they have the money's sitting there.
all right, so, we have this, motion to authorize, is everybody good on discussion? A motion to authorize the administration to request the Hancock County Board of Supervisors to pave streets in Ward 6, portions of First Street, Avenue H, Second Street, First Avenue West, utilizing fiscal year 25 road and bridge funds previously dedicated to the city by the county.
motion, discussion to add 18th Street to that list, please. I think it got left off of the typing.
I'll second that with, I just want discussion. So
And-
you did include in, that is gonna be the 2025 road and bridge money.
That's correct, and it's not to
Okay.
exceed
Not
$250,000.
Okay.
And adding 18th. So motion to authorize the administration request the Hancock County Board of Supervisors to pave streets in Ward 6, portions of First Street, Avenue H, Second Street, First Avenue West, and 18th Street?
Yes, sir.
18th Street, utilizing fiscal year 25 road and bridge funds previously dedicated to the city by the county. It's not to exceed 250,000.
Gary, we took that out of the motion because if your 50% of that is not 250,000. So if the county decided to generously give you more paving, but the amount that you're asking is only what, 187?
Our budget's 187.
Yeah, so that's why.
So we say 187, not to exceed 100, and half of the road and bridge fund?
That's,
No, because
they're required to give you 50%.
We
They,
can take and
they
give you-
voluntarily give you the other
Second, right,
50%.
that's
So
correct.
the only amount of money that you're dealing with here is the 50% that they give you that they don't have to. So I specifically left the $250,000 out because there's nothing saying that the county, if Josh worked with his board of supervisors, they would do in excess of what they would be submitting to you guys. So I did not want to put a cap on there because one, the 250 is not a real cap because the maximum amount that you're asking for is 187. And then I didn't want them to look at it and
So
say.
do you want this to say not to exceed half of the fiscal year 25 road and bridge funds
No, I would like it to read just as it reads on the budget.
But what, I mean, what is
It says
it- where
the
does that
funds
leave
that were
us?
previously dedicated to the city, which is the 50% that they give you, your other 50%.
Okay, I understand.
But where does that leave us for fiscal year 25? I mean, great if it goes to that, but where does that leave us for those continued funds for other areas and other projects?
Well,
You're
that's
able to use the grant, I'm sorry, you're able to use the CapEx.
the CapEx funds.
As matching.
That's why I
You
say
can
you're
do that
just,
like sidewalk projects.
you're moving
all in
money.
there, So we're just switching,
Yeah, you can
Which
use
the
it,
CapEx at 250?
yeah,
yes.
53 or
to use our local match for the sidewalk project.
We can use it for matches, we can use it
603
for
and
infrastructure as well. And if we, you know,
And we currently, what is it, what do we have right now in Road and Bridge?
$1 million
Million?
plus.
And that
little
was all
over a million.
fiscal year?
No, that's been building.
That's
up.
been building up.
Yeah, so we got plenty of money.
Because the bond took care of a lot of the needs for a while, so we didn't really have to spend any here lately for the last
Yeah,
few years. So it's just let it build up.
Then why do we wanna use fiscal year 25 road and bridge and just not use 20?
Because
road
because
and
they
bridge?
haven't given it to us yet, and they
because
can
you're
Oh,
hold
using,
county
it.
because you're
contract.
using the
Yeah.
county
Oh.
contract.
Okay.
Right,
They would just withhold that money and not send it to us.
yes.
Okay, so let me rephrase this motion. Motion.
Can
to
you
au-
read the question that's on the, do you have the one that was on the,
Yeah, so I was looking at the staff report paving.
no, don't do that.
Motion to authorize the administration to request the Hancock County Board of Supervisors to pave streets in Ward 6 portions of First Street, Avenue H, Second Street, First Avenue West, and 18th Street. Is it portions of 18th?
No,
West of Avenue B
Well-
to dead end.
yes.
And say that again?
It did-
18th Street west of Avenue B to dead end.
Okay, 18th Street west
Okay,
of Avenue.
and so
B,
again,
dead
I,
end.
I put in 18th Street May left, the reason I put portions and I put it like it is because
There is no.
you only have a
18th
certain
Street.
amount, well, you only have a certain amount of money. So the goal is to hopefully pave as much as you can get paved. Hopefully they can pave it all, but they may not be able to.
Okay. Continuing, utilizing fiscal year 25 road and bridge funds previously dedicated to the city by the county.
Correct.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman DeSalvo,
Second.
second by Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank y'all.
Next one is just to amend an ordinance. We added grass cutting
Yeah, I get complaints
as
sometimes.
litter, and we added canals and waterways.
I get complaints sometimes that they blow it right into the.
I understand what you're saying.
thing, but,
I've
you
read the
know,
ordinance. But this by nature, if the guys are from Lombardo are weed eating grass in the ditch and they're leaving that grass in the ditch, that would make them in violation of this new ordinance. Cause it says any person,
Well, it already says ditches.
huh?
Yeah, it says ditches. Cutting a ditch is different than sitting there blowing all your stuff in the bayou, going to your neighbors and everything else. Yeah. That's what this is to.
But this also covers like if I cut my grass and I'm blowing my grass and then, you know, off the street or whatever, off my sidewalks and it goes into the ditch, then
You shouldn't.
the normal person's gonna be this.
I remind that all the time.
I think it needs to be rewritten and,
Yeah.
and cover cause I see people throwing limbs in the, you know, cause
Wait,
everybody
that's
throws
in
the
there.
limbs in the ditch for the guy to pick it up.
That's in there.
What's that?
Everything, the limbs and this and that.
Because everybody, when they cut their limbs, they throw them by the front of the street, by the right of way, and it's
Yes.
usually right there on the ditch.
Yes.
And then
But
the grapple man
picked up.
comes.
It's
Yeah.
actually promoted to not throw it in the ditch, and I
Yeah.
believe when they send out mailers, it says do not put them in the ditch.
Yeah,
Put
but I
them right
understand, but
behind.
when people cut, they cut large amounts.
And they, yeah, and
I get it, I get that, but they should not be putting it in the ditch. If they cut a tree and then a horrible rainstorm comes, I mean,
they've,
it's gonna flood the
made
neighbor
people move
because
them out of the ditch and out of the street and everything else, so.
And what's the enforcement mechanism? How are you gonna determine who cut their lawn, cut the lawn and the grass clippings go in the ditch? Is that gonna be, I mean, the ditches are cut and maintained
Usually the
mainly by the
neighbors
city,
call.
right? So,
Huh?
so a lot of the grass clippings the city is maintaining those ditches for the most part. So if the violation is not with the homeowner, but it's with whoever's cutting those ditches, what's the enforcement mechanism? What's the penalty? Is it, I don't see it in here. If there's a
So
violation.
this
if
is,
there's a violation.
this is a amendment to only one section, section 22-151. I could pull up on Muni Code and see if there's specific violations. If you
I
look
looked, I
in
didn't
the
see that.
ordinance, there's only what is underlined. That's the only thing that's changing. This is not a new ordinance. This is an ordinance that's been on your books for years.
We're adding the underline. The tree
You're adding the
trimmings, grass
underlines,
clippings,
tree
and-
trimmings,
Grass
grass clippings,
clippings,
or grass
canals,
trimmings, and then
waterways.
canals, waterways. That's the only thing that's being added to this ordinance. Give me a second, let me look
But
up.
I agree that that does need to be, because it, obviously it inhibits water flow, and it is an issue. I think a couple meetings ago, I mentioned in Ward 6 that there was an issue, but it was city-maintained ditches. So this is, how do we determine who's in violation of this?
I guess what I'm saying is in springtime, everybody prunes their trees and they throw them at the side of the street because that's where they told to put them. And sometimes they do get into the ditch and, you know, you can't go, I don't want to cite people for that, you know, because it's part of the service the city provides in the garbage contract.
If they have someone cutting a tree down, not trimming, and they pile them in the road, and we're made aware of it, or they put them in the ditch, then we don't haul trees. Debris hauling is not made to haul trees cut out of your yard. You know, that's for debris, trimmings, things like that. It's up to the guy who cut the tree down to remove it. So if we find someone that does that, or clearing a lot, we're not there to remove someone's trimming or lot clearing material out of the road and out of the ditch. That's their responsibility to clean their lot and remove it. You know, we have gone and made people move it out of the ditch, out of the street. You know, storms come sometime when riding, we see things in there, you know, we contact them, you know, need to move it out.
Because I know you have frequent offenders. I just don't want this to be, you know, abused. In other words, you know, so, you know, like in the springtime and people are trimming a lot, you know.
Yeah, no. That's already in there if they was gonna do that.
But you've got issues where they're going straight into the canal, because the update is the canals and waterways, where they're directly blowing that into the canals.
It's
and
the ag,
Correct.
canals and waterways, and yes, and then specifically grass.
Blowing it from the lawnmower chute plus.
Yeah, instead of blowing it back in your yard, they blow everything out in the water.
Any more discussion? Anybody got anything?
That's the main thing being added.
Let's see, so, let's see how it reads here. Motion to approve, ordinance 672-12-2024, an ordinance amending chapter 22, article 4, section 151 of the City of Bay St. Louis Code of Ordinances to expand the definition of littering and prevent littering in canals and waterways. I have a motion.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion to approve, Councilman DeSalvo, seconded by Councilwoman Davis. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Let's see, council business, short-term rental, Gene?
So the constituent that sent the email to us, her and her husband both have the flu, so that's, we could table this till next
Okay.
meeting.
All right. Update on Sycamore Street turnaround? Oh, Gene, I'll get back to you, Gene.
I'm good, I think. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, me and the mayor talked about it, and they're gonna, might do that at the end, is that what?
Yeah, they already have a place down there.
Right.
They'll, a lot of people use it. You know, talking with some of them down there, a lot of people use it.
Well, if we could, like we talked about, put some signage down there
Yeah, we can
and tell
put
the
signs
garbage
right
trucks
around
to
at the
use it
end.
and stay out of
You
Mr.
know,
Pam's yard.
we looked at the piece of property we got, I think we only have a 20-foot, we have a 20-foot right-of-way going through there.
Right.
And where it's at, the street is very, very narrow. You'd probably have to have 60-foot of pipe, 60-foot of land for them to pull in so they could back out real tight onto the street.
Right.
We don't have that property there down the street. We also have to find out who owns that property, which Big Jamie's looking at that today and everything, and make sure they're okay with us making a turnaround out of that property.
Okay. All right, so you're gonna follow up on that, so that we get some signage and things, to direct them down there?
Yeah, we'll put one down there, you know, just turn around at the end of the street,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
end of the road there.
All right. Let's see, so, I put on a motion to repave the depot parking lot. I just wanted to verify that this was going out for bid.
Yeah,
We
this
have
has
a
already
funding
been
source.
approved to go out.
Right.
Like I said earlier, it'll go out for bids probably next week. I think Jason's plan is to have everything ready to go. But it's already been approved to go out for bid and everything.
Correct. And, okay, well, I'm good on that. So going forward, y'all got anything more on your district?
No, I'm fine.
Josh?
I'd just like to thank the administration, Councilwoman Davis, Public Works, Police, Fire, everybody that volunteered for the Christmas parade the other night, and at the depot is a nice thing for the
All I got was a
community and
lump of coal.
kids. All you got was coal? Thank everybody for their hard work. Appreciate y'all. That's all I got.
Yeah, they did a great job. Councilman Lewis? Davis? Ms. Davis?
Yes, I have, Miss Maxine Carver that lives on Joe's Bayou Road. Her and her sister live there, and they called and want to know what do they need to do to see if they can get city water and sewer run in that area. And then I have Mr. Devin on Hollywood Drive. We received a email from Mr. Mike concerning the canals, and that's being addressed.
Yeah, Jason, I think Jason's doing a study on that.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
So those canals, I mean, they're clearly an issue. The issue we've had before with FEMA, we've never been able to get them dredged just because we've never had any maintenance reports. So Jason Kanichi's doing, some sort of study of those canals, material study, and the whole point is to, one, give us a starting point, so if something, that we have something measurable to show FEMA, and also, once you have those studies, that makes it, you're more eligible for a bunch of different federal
Yeah, he's been
programs
working
that
on
are
that
out
for a
there.
while.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a massive undertaking, it's not a, an easy one, but that was one of the main reasons of doing the study, is because the study was a box that was, needed to be checked on a lot of these different federal programs to hopefully get some help to get a lot of these canals, because it's very, very expensive. I think we looked at it, and to do every canal in the city, and this was like 5 years ago, I want to say it was right at $20 million.
Okay, and then the only other, I got a call from Mr. T.C. Mummy on Turner Street, and he has a pile of debris that he owns the property across from his house also, so he has trimmings in that he put across the street from his
So
house.
I can address that one too. So the easiest way to get that addressed is to go on Coastal Environmental Services website. And if he has done this and they have not responded, I need to know that, because
Well, he's
we can
called
submit
them,
that. Okay.
And I told him to do, online,
Mhm.
and he's done that. And they
Okay.
told him they could not pick it up because it needs to be directly in front of his house.
No.
He doesn't have room in front of, between.
No,
Text
usually
me-
when you-
text me that
That's
ad-
the reason to
yeah.
call in.
Well, I personally have also submitted
Text
twice.
me that address and I will deal with that.
Yeah.
So, and make sure when you submit it, typically what I tell people to do is put in there, I own this house, I own the lot next to me that appears to be vacant, but I'm putting my debris. And
Oh, I put the
typically they will,
explanation. I
they
didn't
will get
indicate,
that.
yeah.
So what is that address? And I will have that.
I think it's 607 Turner, but I can double check for you.
607 Turner?
That's close enough.
603 Turner.
60 what?
603 Turner Street, and the lot that right across the street is 604.
Do you know how long ago?
It's been over 3 weeks. Because I told him when he reported it the first time that he may have been too late in the.
Yeah, the
cycle.
rotation.
And I told him last week was our turn south of I-10 to, call me prior to the meeting so I would know, and he sent me a picture this afternoon stating that nothing was picked up.
Okay.
I'm gonna text you a phone number to a direct contact with Coastal you can call, and they usually take care of it.
Jack, get you fixed up.
I've been using Darren Water line.
Yeah, Darren's the,
I think Jack moved to Slidell or somewhere else.
And then the only other thing too is to add to Josh's comment, Saturday night was beautiful. I went out there just to go look at the trees, wound up being out there for hours during hot cocoa or whatever. But, Mike Favre had on a jacket that resembled a Santa's jacket. He had a 10-year-old little boy that came up to him at the end. I thought he was mistaking him for Santa, but he knew who he was, and he thanked him. He said, "This is wonderful. Thank you for everything y'all did out here." And I was like in amazement that this child, that age, went up there and did thank for everything, magical for that night. So I thought that was a good thing. It was awesome.
We need to take up a hat collection for her new Golden Goose tennis shoes.
Yeah. I wish they were golden.
I don't have anything. I talked to Mike earlier.
All right. I'm good. Let's see, public forum. John Holman?
John Oman, 110 DeMontleson Avenue. Everybody in this room has or will shortly look down Main Street at all the lights there. And I just wanted to come up and say congratulations to the city, how impressed I am by that. It's just, seen lights like that before, but all the way from Highway 90, or what used to be known as Highway 90, to the beach, which is 5 blocks dominated. I think it's more like 8 city blocks. That's just, I've never seen anything quite that impressive done that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good when you have money to spend.
That was the only one, the, Eugene Schmidt was, with the Driftwood, so that was it. Let's see. City Clerk's report, Mike?
Just a motion to approve docket of claims 24-058 in the amount of $1,189,390.78, dated December 3, 2024. Had not received any questions.
We have a motion to approve docket of claims 24-058 in the amount of $1,189,390,000.78 dated December 3rd, 2024. Have a motion? Motion, Councilman Seal.
Second.
Second, Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Gary, if I just make a quick comment, there was a payment there for David Rush. We had a walkthrough today, Ronnie and I did, on a Court Street. I mean, looking very good. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we're to a point where we have a punch list.
Yeah, the only thing that I sent you
Finish it up.
earlier was that on that transfer of the funding from one to the other, just make a note that's David Rush's
Did it.
thing. So if I look at it 6 months from now, I know that's what that was.
Caitlin and her computer was able to add that for me.
Let's-
But yeah, I just think one of y'all know the Court Street thing, it really looks good. But hopefully in 2 weeks, the majority of it, they'll be to where we're doing a punch list.
Okay.
We still have to do interior flooring, but that's
Looks
separate
good.
from the contract.
Consent agenda.
We gotta finish the vote, Gary.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's revote it. Revote the docket.
Boy, I could say something. Riso done jumped in there and.
Go ahead, Gene.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 7-0. Consent agenda. The only thing I have on that is, the light poles. So which light poles are we doing?
The 5 that one car took out, we got the insurance money covered. We'll do those 5. We got parts ordered, which should be here, got pushed back for another, I don't know, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks.
So Mississippi Power is gonna do the installation, they're gonna hook the wiring up and everything?
They can do everything to get them going.
Okay. Cause it didn't say that in the thing.
Yes, now if there's some additional wiring, major wiring, they'll probably come back with a price for that, We won't know that till they get hooked up.
And that'll be addition to the
That'd be an
insurance
addition,
for pulling it.
yes. And then at the same time, trying to see if we had poles where they could do the two that hooks into it as well. There's 7 of them there. There might be a pole in between the two that existed already, I don't know. But we can, we'll look at that. If not, they'll be on the next round when we get those parts in for those poles.
Okay. Anybody got anything else on the consent agenda? Have a motion to approve? Motion, Councilman Seal, second, Councilman DeSalvo. Any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. Let's see, Councilman, let's see, Lewis, left the room. Spread reports, motion to spread cash balances, payroll
Real
hours.
quick, I think Caitlin, I think he left the meeting, so I just wanna make sure you got that. You're
Yeah.
busy typing over there.
Motion to spread the cash balances, payroll hours report, detailed grant report, grant and intergovernmental report, RG revenue report, revenue expense report, gaming and sales tax report. Have a motion? Motion, Councilman DeSalvo.
Second.
Second, Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. Let's talk, you wanna go to attorney's report and you can run down that thing that we can't talk about?
We can, I mean, if you'd like to. Okay. So that would mean a closed session to discuss litigation, Dale Partners and Associates, Brown Mitchell Alexander, going off the top of my head, versus City by St. Louis, and Gills Crane.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion by Councilman Hoffman to go into closed session. Second by Councilman Seal. Vote to motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Motion.